Hello and welcome back to Crypto Novus, where newbies become masters. I hope all of you are having a wonderful Easter holiday weekend. My name is Chris Brown and I'm the host of the channel. Tonight I'm going to be doing a 2021 price prediction for Livepeer. The reason why I'm doing Livepeer specifically is because GrayScale has decided to open up trust funds for 5 more digital assets, Livepeer being one of them. So I want to take a look at each one of them. And Livepeer, it's your turn tonight. I would also like to introduce to you Swan. Swan is a company that has programs to where people can do dollar cost averaging in Bitcoin only. So if you're looking for a different option where the fees are very reasonable, I would highly recommend Swan. And to be fully upfront, I am an affiliate marketer for Swan as well. As always, this video is not and should not be perceived as crypto investment advice. The reason being, I'm not an investment advisor or a financial advisor. I'm more of an educator and a financial coach. It's always do your own research and understand what you're getting into in terms of cryptocurrency, what the asset is, and what your ROI could potentially be, and understand the risks involved. I also always like to show this slide because there are 12 price influencers for any crypto or digital asset. Typically in my videos, I try to cover 5 of the 12, which means there's 7 remaining. So there's other things you need to look into before you make a decision in terms of investing. So let's get into LPT or Livepeer basics. You know, one of the things I'm learning for myself as I get into doing these videos for you guys is I learned so much myself. And there's out of the 8,900, almost 9,000 different coins and tokens out there, there's no way you can know all there is to know about any one particular token, let alone all of them. So when I started doing my research for Livepeer, I learned a lot. Yes, I knew the name, but I really didn't know what they did. And as I learned, I got more and more interested in it. So it's basically a video streaming network or platform. And it taught me a lot about what's happening in the streaming world and the business case. And so I look forward to sharing this with you. So Livepeer, it started basically at the beginning of 2017. Since 2017, they've got 12.7 million tokens staked, which is very, very interesting. And we'll get really into detail with staking. They have a little over 2,600 delegators, and they've done about $55,000 in payout. Of course, I've mentioned the GrayScale Trust Fund, which is new. It has a new all-time high in Q1 of 2021, and they have an OKEx listing. And we'll talk a little bit more about where you can buy Livepeer. The Livepeer network. So here is the basic problem. 80% of all the use on the internet and its bandwidth is consumed by streaming, which I didn't know. And that streaming needs to be what's called transcoded. And that's a process of taking a raw video and reformatting it for whatever the bandwidth might be, whether it's 2G or 5G. Here's the interesting part. The process costs around $3 per streaming hour and can cost as much as $4,500 a month for one media server, depending on what you're doing and obviously the products you're trying to produce. So here's Livepeer business case. Livepeer wants to make a scalable platform as a service for developers who want to add live or on-demand video projects. So they want to attack the streaming niche in the marketplace, and they want to reduce the cost of streaming by about 50 times. This is really a very interesting business problem, and it's a very interesting business solution, and it's going to be really interesting to see how Livepeer actually accomplishes this goal, because really in the digital decentralized crypto space, Livepeer is the first peer-to-peer project that is taking on the streaming issue and problem. So here are the Livepeer actors. You basically got 2 players in the game. You have the orchestrator and you have the delegators. So basically the orchestrators, they're the ones that are really running the technical process and the network, right? They're doing the transcoding themselves. They're the ones that are earning really the fees and making the network and the platform work. And they basically earn by providing the service and helping other individuals use the platform. They actually get paid a fee for that. The others are the delegators. And basically, delegators are token holders. They're not into the tech, they don't understand the tech, or if they understand the tech, they don't want to get involved in the tech. And so what they do is they basically loan or give or delegate or stake their tokens to the orchestrators so that they can go ahead and use it on the network. So the LPT token is necessary for the implementation of the final product and the transcoding that happens. And like I mentioned before, they got 12.7 million tokens staked as of today. So the number of LPT tokens, there was originally a little over 22.8 million tokens mined. The purpose of the token, obviously, is it's for the network, right? It's to the Livepeer network is a cheap, effective, secure, reliable, useful place to create these video streaming. The Livepeer protocol is required to perform the work of transcoding and distributing the video on the network. Again, the Livepeer is the token that's used in exchange on the network. So presently, right now, there are in supply 22.8 LPT. Of that in circulation is actually 21.1 million LPT. And there's been out of the overall supply, there was originally about 22.9 million. About 47,000 of the LPT have actually been burned. So that's kind of a good thing to know because there's a fixed supply and they actually are burning some of the LPT, which obviously that's going to be a deflationary aspect of the token, which means supply and demand economics come into play, and it's in the favor of those who choose to invest. So let's take a look at some of the 2020 and 2021 successes with Livepeer. Okay, first, take a look at the staking rewards. I was really impressed with this. And so back in 2020 in September, Livepeer on their blog, they wrote down some of the economic incentives behind LPT and for owning LPT and for staking. Like a lot of digital assets, there on stakingrewards.com, there's a calculator, and you can kind of calculate what you could potentially make if you were to stake the LPT. And there's a couple different ways. You can do it as a delegate, like I've got shown here in the picture of Livepeer, or you can do it as a lender. This is impressive. Basically what it's saying here, if you had 1,000 LPT, the cost of that to you today would be about $24,000 based on the current price. You would then earn on an annual basis $5,428, which would be a 21.86 return. I haven't seen anything higher. I personally have not seen anything higher than this on staking. This is really high. Nexto might be the only other one at 30%. I take that back. But 21%, you got to think about that for a second. If I was lending the LPT, if I changed the category, that actual figure went up to almost 25%. So this is really, if you're going to purchase these tokens and then give them back to delegators, to make a 21% on your money, that's something for that I have to focus and think on and see about how I might invest into this. Livepeer and Filecoin. So basically, two different digital projects. However, the way they're functioning is somewhat very similar. So the idea is that they want to try to partner together, and so that the miners with Lapeer and the miners of Filecoin, they can kind of work together in storing the transcoded video data. So it's good to see that they are reaching out and that there is some camaraderie between different assets and that there could be a teaming occur with Filecoin. So this is something to watch for the future. As I mentioned, GrayScale, this is really impressive. So what happened is just last month, middle of the month, around March 7th, LPT was $6. Michael Sonnensen had basically made an announcement that they were going to create an LPT Trust Fund. The price of LPT rose to $32. And as you'll see, it's even gone even higher than that. They presently have $10 million in assets under management for Livepeer, and they've broken that down into 415,000 shares. Since the inception of the fund has grown about 245%, which is very impressive. I've given you a link if you want to look into more information with that, and if you might be interested in investing or want to share that with someone that you know. And then they've got a listing. Livepeer is not listed on a lot of exchanges, not the most popular ones. So it's a little bit hard to get to. And they just got a recent listing at OK Exchange. Again, a big step because it really opens them up to the Asian market. The Asian market in the video streaming world, again, is producing a lot of things. So this is really a big and huge step for Livepeer. So let's take a look at price predictions and price activity for this year. Livepeer has done some amazing things already, and the years only past Q1. Okay, so the ranking of Livepeer, it fluctuates, but it's around 102. When I did this slide, it was at $39.28. Since then, it's actually gone down a little bit, but it's sitting around Bitcoin Gold. Storage Lisk is kind of in the same category as this in terms of number rating and Verge. So this is the price activity that happened in the month of March. So at the very beginning of March, LPT was at $4.13. Again, on the 16th and 17th and 18th, we saw a dramatic price rise from the $6 all the way up to $32.64. From there, it started to formulate a symmetrical triangle, and you can kind of see the lines of the triangle. When it came to a moment of decision, it did not go down, it went up. You know, in this, when I put this chart together, it had gone up as high, it wicked up as high as $40.21, but it has since gone higher than that, up to $44, and I believe it is 13 cents, but we will look closer at that in just a second. So so one thing to take into consideration was I was doing my research that Livepeer moved most out of the 5 assets as a result of the GrayScale Trust because it was the smallest asset per market cap with the least liquidity. It means that the LPT was tied up. So as a result, those that had it were able to move the price, kind of a supply and demand issue, right? Back in June of 2019, on the 26th, that was a high point for LPT, and its price was $8.96. Its price relative to BTC was 0.3069, and the price of BTC and the USD was really close together. What was interesting is at that point in time, it did not have a circulation supply, a market cap, or a market dominance that I could find on either CoinGecko or on CoinMarketCap. But since then, April 3rd, as of today, the listing is number 102. It's got 21.1 million in circulation. The market cap is about $767 million relative to the 1.8 trillion for the total market cap. Its market dominance is 0.04%. The price today was hovering around $36.23, but it had gone as high earlier in the day as $44.13. Price relative to BTC, very interesting. Today it was at 0.30628. So not far from where it was back on June 26, 2019, interestingly enough. But the spread between its value relative to BTC and USD is far bigger spread. Interesting performance for 2020. It started off at $1.37. The year high was $5.74, which means it did about a 4x last year. This year, it started at $1.44, so it went up and then it came basically right back down. It then shot up as high as $44.13, which is a 30.6x growth so far this year. So it makes you kind of wonder, how high could it go as Bitcoin continues to climb? So let's take a look. So if Bitcoin does 146,000, I simply use the existing position that it has relative to Bitcoin right now. It puts the LPT at $91.68, or an additional 2.5x for the year from where it is right now at $36. If the crypto market cap goes as high as 3.3 trillion, and let's say its market dominance stays the same, you could be seeing an LPT price of $62.36, or 1.7x growth. Still nice growth. I mean, to go from $1.44 to, let's say, just goes to $62 this year, that's really impressive as an asset, as a digital asset. So let's now go up and see what happens when Bitcoin goes to 200. If Bitcoin goes to $276,000. I kind of took the price relative to Bitcoin up just a smidge up to 0.0065 from where it is now. That puts the LPT price at $179 or a 4.95x, almost a 5x from where it is right now. That's not out of the question considering what it did last year. If the crypto market cap goes to 7.7, the total, 7.7 trillion, and it keeps its market dominance the same, I didn't change that, it puts the LPT price at $1.45 or a 4x. So anywhere from where it's sitting now at $36, it could see 2 to 4x for the rest of the year, which doesn't seem really out of the question compared to what it did last year. So here are my final thoughts. I did a range as always. 62.36 to 179 gives me an average of 120.88. If I took the $120.88 divided by the 36.23, gives me a 3.3x growth for the remaining of the year and the last 3 quarters of this year. I think it's very possible, very, very possible. Final thoughts. I like this asset because there's burning of tokens and there's a fixed supply. I'm always going to lean towards that. The staking rewards are very impressive and something that I would need to look more closely into and give it some consideration. I think it has an extremely strong business case. Extremely strong in my mind. The community is good. There's not a lot of conversation about Livepeer. The community is not huge. If you only have 12.7 million tokens staked, that's not a lot. There needs to be a lot more use of the platform, and so that's something I need to look at and watch closely. And then being connected to Filecoin, I think is good. Being connected to, obviously, GrayScale is impressive. So I think there's some good partnerships there, and there's some strong promise for Livepeer in the future. So as always, if you like the video, press the like button. And I always encourage people to subscribe. I mean, we're definitely climbing. We're above 2,000 subscribers now, which isn't a huge channel, but it's continuing to grow. So I definitely appreciate those who have subscribed to the channel. Again, this is Crypto Novus. I am the host, Chris Brown. And remember, Crypto Novus is where newbies become masters. I wish you guys the very best and enjoy the rest of your Easter holiday weekend. Good night.